Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me to introduce myself. My name is Rinzi Kumalasari. My NPM 18211100028. I'm going to present or explain about semantic and pragmatics. So, the first is the definition of semantic. Semantic is a branch of linguistics dealing with the meaning of words, phrases, and sentences. However, contrary to pragmatics, it does not analyze the intended speaker meaning or what words denote on a given occasion, but the objective conventional meaning. Semantics is the study of the meaning of words, phrases, and sentences, attempting focus on what the words conventionally meaning, rather than on what an individual speaker might want them to mean on a particular occasions. The mind of semantic. The first is conceptual and associated meaning. Conceptual and associated meaning covers those basic, essential components of meaning that are conveyed by the literal use of a word. For example, thin, sharp, steel, instrument. And then associated meaning. Associated meaning is attaching or associating particular word to a different connotation or association. For example, pain, blood, drugs, hard to find, threat, knitting, or illness. Secondly is semantic features. Semantic features are basic elements which enable the differentiation of meaning of words. Features such as plus animal, plus human, plus female, negative male, for example, can be treated as the basic elements involved in differentiating the meaning of each word in a language from every other word. If we had to provide the crucial distinguishing features of the meanings of a set of English words such as table, horse, boy, man, girl, woman, we could begin with the following diagram. And then thirdly is semantic roles. Semantic roles describe the way in which words are used in sentences and the function they fulfill. Fourthly, lexical relations. Lexical relations, there are synonymy. Synonymy is words that have the same meanings or that are closely related in meaning. The characteristics of synonymy are nearly same based on context. For example, marvelous, excellent. Formal or informal, for example, by, versus. Grammatical roles, for example, big, large, and great. Same language, for example, actuellement in French and then actually in English. Word to word, for example, love and like. Praise to praise, for example, according to and in conformity with. Synonym doesn't mean same in a scale. And then antonym. Antonym is two forms with opposite meanings. And then the type of antonym, there are gradable antonym or opposites along a scale, such as the pair, big or small, can be used in comparative constructions like I'm bigger than you and a pony is smaller than a horse. Non-gradable antonym or direct opposite, also called complementary pairs, comparative constructions are not normally used. We don't typically describe someone as neither as or neither than another. Also, the negative of one member of a non-gradable pair does imply the other member. And then reverse signs. Although we can use the negative text, but to identify non-gradable or antonyms in a language, we usually avoid describing one member of while undressed can be treated as the opposite of dress. It doesn't mean not dress, it actually means do the reverses of dresses. Antonyms of this type are called reverses. And then hyponymy, when the meaning of one form is included in the meaning of another, the relationship is described as hyponymy. For example, cats and dogs are hyponyms of the word animal. Prototype. Prototypes are typical instances of a category that serve as benchmarks against which the surrounding less representative. For example, the most characteristic instance of the category bird is robin. So the robin prototype of bird. Furniture, chair is a better example than bench or stool. Clothing, shirt, more than shoes. Homophone and homonym. When two or more different written forms have the same pronunciation, they are described as homophones. Common examples are bear, beer, meat, meat, flour, flower, pale, pale, rye, bright, sail, so, two, two, and two. We use the term homonyms when one form, written or spoken, has two or more unrelated meanings, as in these examples: bank of a river and bank financial institution, bat flying crater and bat used in sports, mole on skin and mole small animal, pupil at school and pupil in the eyes, race contests of speed and race ethnic group. And then polysemy. When we encounter two or more words with the same form and related meanings, we have what is technically known as polysemy. Polysemy can be defined as one form, written or spoken, having multiple meanings that are all related by extension. And then wordplay. Wordplay is the manipulation of language, in particular the sounds and meanings of words, with the intent to amuse verbal wit. For example, how much can bear beer? Can you pass that can, Mike? A bee can be. A flea can flee. I want my bag be back. And then metonym. Metonym is broadly defined a term in which one entity is used to stand for another associated entity. Example of metonym: close connection can be based on a container-content relation, bottle or water, can or juice. A whole part relation, car or wheels, house or roof, or a representative simple relationship, king or crown, the president or and the White House. And for example, pen are mightier than sword. The White House will be announcing the decision around noon today. Collocation. Collocation is a term to refer to words that tend to appear together, of words that tend to appear together, or words that tend to keep company. For example, in the class there are teacher, students, desk, books, whiteboard, table, and etc. Okay, the next is pragmatic. Pragmatic is the study of what speaker mean or speaker meaning. In many ways, pragmatic is the study of invisible meaning, or how we recognize what is meant even when it is not actually said or written. The first is context. The context of a word is the set of other words used in the same phrase or sentences. For example, there are conversations of three people, A, B, and C. A. I do the homework in my home together with my friends. B. Who are they? I will join with you. C. John, Jane, Billy, and Jack. John, Jane, Billy, and Jack add this context. And then deixis. Deixis or pointing beyond language. Words or expressions that are entirely depend on the context. For example, person deixis I, you, we, and etc. Person that always they exist is person 1. Time they exist, tomorrow, and etc. Place, here, there, and etc. Thirdly, references. Used to refer the particular entirely from many entities to let the listener identify the intended entity. For example, the words Jennifer or friend or she can be used to refer to many entities in the world. And then there was a man who always drove his motorcycle fast and logged through my neighborhood and was locally referred to as Mr. Kawasaki in this case. In this case, a brand name for a motorcycle is being used to refer to a person. And then, fourthly, inference. Inference is additional information used by the listener to create a connection between what is said and what must be meant. For example, where is the Noam Chomsky? Said someone in the linguistic library. The Noam Chomsky, book of Noam Chomsky as the author. And then next is anaphora. Anaphora referring back to word or a word. For example, I will play football in the New York. It is near market. It is anaphoric. Catechora, referring forward to a word. For example, when I meet him, Harry looks ill. Him is catechora. And then exopora, referring word at the out of the context. For example, if you have a dare to come here, please contact you as readers is exopora. And then presupposition. For example, if someone tells you your brother is waiting outside, there is an obvious presupposition that you have a brother. Speech X is a technical term in linguistics and philosophy of language. It is an act that a speaker performs when making an utterance. We use the term speech act to describe actions such as requesting, commanding, questioning, or informating. And then direct and indirect speech acts. For example, open the door for me. An example of indirect, could you open that door for me? The explain is the utterance you left the door open has a declarative structure and as a direct speech act would be used to make a statement. However, if you say this to someone who has just come in and it's really cold outside, you would probably want that person to close the door. You are not using the imperative structure. You are using a declarative structure to make a request. It's another example of an indirect speech act. So maybe just all my explanation about semantic and pragmatics. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.